Hi everybody, it's Q and welcome back to my tapes. Wow. I can't do this. Okay, so in this video, we're gonna talk about like, comment, subscribe just for that. Oh my god, somebody told me that they like the sound of my voice. Ooh. Oh my god. Okay, let's begin. So I kind of want to talk about how I don't know how I feel about the idea of doing deals with friends without any sort of contracts, as we can see with Rory, Joseph the Fifth Budden, and Mal, and how honestly the question that I just kept asking myself as I've kind of tried to do more research about this is how did $400,000 go missing? Come on, you see my face? I just like it, just not on my watch. Not on my watch. And so I just kind of want to delve into that. As you guys know, I don't really feel comfortable talking about people. I want to avoid talking about people as much as I can and more so talk about events around people or maybe something to learn. That's just kind of what I feel comfortable doing. As a V YouTuber, like, you know what I mean? You can't see my face. So if I want to say something salacious, let me do that where you guys can see me in the flesh. So I will avoid obviously making any sort of personal commentary on ideas of people or like subjective opinions of people. You know what I mean? And of course, if I need to make any claims or anything that I've been reading, I will use the word allegedly because this is all alleged, right? So yeah, let's jump right into it. So as you guys have started to see, oh my god, I keep seeing Joseph the Fifth. Oh my gosh, Joseph or Joe, Mr. Joe Budden, Mr. BB. He had a falling out with his friends. Mind you, I believe he's been friends with Mal for about 2 decades, 20 years. With Rory, I think it's like 8 years to 10 years, about a decade. Rory was the first person on the podcast, I believe since episode number 6 or 9. And then Mal came in, I believe, episode 21st. It was like in the 20 range. And he had a very public and spectacle. Y'all know what I say about these. You know what I say about the spectacle. Listen, I've made a video about this. Azealia Banks is a spectacle. Like, don't be surprised. Like, this is a spectacle. Like, the spectacle of society, the spectacle of performancing and spectacleizing at times yourself on the internet is like exploitative, and it's just really sad. But I have kind of talked about the idea of like the spectacle in society and how it pertains to people that we see as like public figures, and how people should just be aware. If you're a consumer, if you're someone who you're not famous, you're a regular person kind of consuming and ingesting media. Also, if you're like a parent and you're watching this, like, media is a spectacle. Like, what we see is a lot of times spectacleized, even in your life, even for a job, hashtag that LinkedIn video. So watch that as well. So yeah, I've already talked about kind of this idea of the spectacle in society. So go ahead and check out some of those videos. But essentially in this video, it was a huge spectacle. Apparently the footage got leaked. You see, I want to say something. Let me not pull it in, Q, pull it in. But yeah, apparently footage was leaked, audio was leaked, and Mr. Budden had completely aired out his friends and talked disparagingly and about these two people that he considered his friends, as well as like coworkers and colleagues. And it honestly was very, very sad. So if there are any personal thoughts that I'll put in here, I'll say them now. I think this whole thing is sad. I think there was a moment where Joseph Budden was talking about, oh, if they apologize to me, they can come back. And I'm just like, as a friend, come on. BB, come on. You're not coming back from this. In this economy, you will hear me say that as well. If you follow this channel, you will hear me say this a lot. In this economy, I don't think so. In the words of Remy Ma, you're done. Did you hear that? You're done. So no, like, you're done. Like, this friendship can no longer remain. I would be absolutely mortified if I ever had a falling out with somebody that I knew so personally, especially like someone like Mal. You know what I mean? Like, I believe like Mal had taken him into his home. They had, co-lived together. They had been roomies, when Joe was kind of coming out of the music industry and he got screwed out of some deals, and you know what I mean? Like, life was shit, and he was able to join up with his friend from New York, Mall, Mr. Mall, and they were able to live together and make it work as best as they could. So just like personal comments on like the friendship of this I would be mortified. And you know, and this is where I'll start putting some allegedly statements. This is like, God, like, you can't come back from this. You can't come back from this. You can't go. There is no coming back from this. Like, there's no amount of scrubbing this from the internet. There's no amount of apologies that'll take away the fact that we have been exposed to the inner workings of what appears to be at times an abusive relationship, an abusive, possibly outfall of schizophrenic, allegedly relationship. And that's all I have to say personally. You see what I did there? That's all I have to do. That's all I have to say. So let's talk about just the business. And you know, this is a series that I think I'm going to do because I think I'm going to make a second video on the Mary J. Byarm thing. Also put a card about that. I think I want to start a mini series called The Blueprint. Obviously, I know you guys know me as an automaton, an avatar, as a virtual kind of, oh my God, I'm a Matrix. Ooh, I'm in the Matrix. Ooh, okay, I'm a robot. Okay, but yeah, I know you guys see me as this guy. You see how my cheeks, I'm actually smiling like this. Okay, cute. Come on, you gotta, okay, relax. Why am I so hype? Oh my God. Okay, so essentially, you know, I know you guys see me as like a virtual YouTuber or whatever, but I do have like a, you know, like a life, like, you know what I mean? Like I have things that I do in my life. And obviously I'm not going to give too much information about myself, but like I've had experience in like starting startups, startup. If you're from Cali, if you're from any of those schools in that area, I'm not. So nice try. But, but you know what that term means, you know what I mean? Especially if you watch some of these shows. So essentially it's just like, I've kind of been in that mix and it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I just want to say that, like, I just want to start here. Like, the idea of starting something with your friends is the first mistake. The idea of starting something with your friends is the first and final mistake, okay? I don't like the idea of starting an entity with your friends without solid paperwork, or paperwork that at times can be vague. And if you've done some research on this, or if you watch some videos, we've already started to hear some of these rules about non-competes. Obviously, I am not an attorney. This is not legal advice whatsoever. I actually think an attorney did make a video about this, and I will link her video below. Excuse me. And for example, something that I know about a non-compete, because I've worked at some of these like companies, is that, for example, oh my God. Okay. Example. Let's say I worked at Google, right? Non-competes are not enforceable in California. So you tried it, you know, but I'm just like, non-competes are used to intimidate. And I'm only mentioning that because I remember that coming up in the contract, and I don't really know the inner workings of their contract. I would love if they felt comfortable disclosing their contract and, you know, just kind of going over it with an attorney and just kind of having some more thoughts on that. And I'm sure if any of their attorneys are on YouTube, they'll probably make a video about that. Like I said, I'm not an attorney, but I've involved myself in things and projects that have become real. Okay. And the first rule is paperwork. First rule is boundaries. First rules are boundaries, paperworks, and getting the nitty-gritty stuff out of the way. And so I think it is really concerning to kind of not only hear at times what could come across as like a very wishy-washy relationship in some regards, which we're going to get in that in a second, where I will kind of mention Joseph, Mr. Budden, personally, and, you know, there's a reason why. But in the meantime, before I get to that point, I just want to say that, like, you have to kind of have those boundaries in place. Contracts are your friend, especially if you have friends. For me personally, I value my friendships more than I value capitalism. Like, come on. You know what I'm going to say? Like, I value my friendships and I value the integrity of my friendships more than capitalism or starting up a business. And so if any chance I somehow involve myself with a friend, which I have, because I'm speaking from experience, right? I'm not speaking out the side of my neck, right? My virtual neck, come on. But I'm just saying, like, shit can hit the fan. And to be completely honest, shit usually hits the fan. Usually. When you're with a friend, usually hits the fan. And I honestly, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. And you can be young, you can be old. I'm not, I'm Gen Z, but it's just like, I would love to do stuff with my friends, but it's not just stuff with your friends. As we can see, it started with just a I'll name this podcast later, and then it turned into something completely different. Deals started coming their way. Money started flowing their way. They then got the Spotify deal. Then now Joseph, he got a deal with Patreon, which not only, so he obviously has his podcast on Patreon, but he has a deal, I believe, also like an equity deal with Patreon as like the head of like creator equity. Please don't quote me on that. And so it's like money is happening here, okay? Things are happening here, which leads me kind of to, we're about to enter the second point about Joseph, but the $400,000, you know, where did the money go? The whole point of putting in boundaries and legalities with people you know or people you don't know is to protect everybody, which leads me to point two. What in tarnation is going on? Come on. Joseph, let's be real. When your friends are going into something with you, Joseph, come on. Like, why is it that people want to enter these deals, and they do have some types of contracts in place? Obviously, they didn't like just do it they did do it off the strength, obviously, because even when I believe Rory, and they mentioned this in their paid Vimeo response, that when Rory had started asking questions about the $400,000, like money did in fact disappear, like, you know what I mean, off the books, and they were not sure what was going on, which was why he had to, you know, he started getting his attorney together to start doing this audit, to request an official accounting audit, right? So it's just like, why, I guess, like, I'm just trying to ask the question of like, why does one feel that this isn't a cost to your personal character? If your friends are coming to you like, we just want to do this legitimately, we want to take this off of all of our hands. To be honest, we're not even accountants. None of us are accountants. So like, let's just get our lawyers. Let's pay for an audit. Also, yeah, that's another thing. I don't know if people know this as well. Paying for an audit, someone who requests the audit, they usually pay for it. So it wouldn't have come out of Joseph's or Ian or the business. It would have been the person requesting for the audit. They would have had to pay for an attorney and an accountant to come in and do that, which is extremely expensive. But yeah, I'm just like, why all the spectacle around people allegedly like coming for your character when all they want to do is get an understanding of the money and the deals that they inherently are involved in? Obviously, we know this now, and we didn't know this when all the information wasn't out. And I'm sure I'm sure people who gossip, like, you know what I mean? Not all the car facts, they don't have all the car facts, but we know now that from their mouth, well, we don't know. We don't see the contract. We don't know their W-2s or their 1090 whatevers, their taxes. We don't know, like, who's on the LLC. You know what I mean? We don't know all of this stuff, but we do know that they're not employees. I believe that a part of Mal and Rory's deal was a profit share deal, and I think perhaps some equity. I'm not quite sure. Please don't quote me on the equity part. So it's just like, why is it odd when you have a profit share deal with your partners and they want to have a refresh on the accounting? Why does that need to be a spectacle? Why does there need to be a spectacle? There doesn't need to be a spectacle on things like that. Why did this even come out? Which brings me to my last point. The spectacle around the whole situation overall, and not just like Joseph, you know, lambasting them on the audio clip. So the third point is just now talking about the spectacle of it all. Why the spectacle? Why? Why do people need to do stuff like this? Which is why I'm just like, don't do business with friends. Like, don't do business with friends if you're not prepared to set boundaries. If you are a friend that your friend is approaching you to do a business deal, like, are they serious? Like, are they a serious person? You know, why all the spectacle? Which kind of, you know, kind of one of the sub points that I want to make in part 3 of this is like, not like I don't feel bad for the parties involved. I'm not talking about Olivia Dope, you know, I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about Rory and Mal, because, you know, there are a lot of things going on with Mr. Joseph Budden right now. But I just feel like you guys, what did Drake say? You know what it was when you signed up. Like, you know that this man, like, you know some of his antics, you know some of the shenanigans, you know some of the chicoonery that you guys have also participated in, and participated in the exploitation of other people and saying maybe inappropriate things or witnessing inappropriate things happening to other people, even though you are a powerful person in this company-ish structure, right? You have power. Yeah, like you do. You're the co-host. You know what I mean? And so it's just like you guys have kind of witnessed some of the behavior a lot. In fact, Mal say, and I'll see if I can quote this verbatim. Mal said, I know shit about you. You know, I know shit about you. Like, I know stuff about you, Joe. Like, I know your secrets. In the words of Kendrick, I know your secrets. Come on. Like, what are you doing? Why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? I know too much about you. 20 years. 20 years. I know stuff about you, Joe. And obviously at this point in time, I'm recording this, I believe May 17th, 2021, Joe did apologize. But it's just like, y'all knew the antics. And maybe I guess one of the biggest things I'm surprised of is like, did you think all the shenanigans and chicanery that he would do to other people that he wouldn't do to you? And that's really the question. That's really the question I think I want to end off and ask, like, the people, okay? I really want to ask y'all, honestly, if you see red flags in your friends, do you usually ignore them? Do you hope that they'll be better? I'm not being facetious. Look at my face. Do I look like I'm laughing? I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm not being satirical. I'm honestly asking as a question to kind of end off this video. If you see red flags in your friends, do you let it go? If you see red flags in your friends and you know, maybe a screw or two, would you get involved with them in this manner? If you had a friend, like, would you get into business with them and not try and set some boundaries? Because that's what a contract is. Same thing with what's going on with Chance the Rapper and his friend. Manager dropped out of college to be his manager. It went very well. He was a really good manager, and he also got lucky. But he was a really good manager, and now Chance is saying, well, I don't really owe you money like that. It wasn't what he said. But they didn't have a contract. They didn't have a contract. Just like that. How many years? Almost a decade, and poof. Just like that, in smoke. Would you guys get into entanglements with your friends and not set some boundaries? Would you guys get into entanglements with your friends if they had red flags? And don't say no, because it's clear that people still do this. I've done this. There, you know what I mean? Obviously, nobody has screwed me out of $400,000. Like, $400,000 has not gone missing on my watch. Please, not in this economy. Are you dumb? Not on my watch. But, don't say no, because people do it. So maybe I'll say this. Ending statement. I hope that we can all kind of be cognizant of, like, how we interact with our friends beyond friendship. And also maybe just think about our friends in general. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not friends with Joe. You know what I mean? Not to imply anything. It's just, I'm not friends with him. I'm not sure. Like, so if there are too many red flags, I do wonder, like, why keep going? Why keep going? Like, what's going on? Yeah. So thanks so much for coming to thanks so much for listening to another one of my tapes. Like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, quick question. If you made it this far, put a blue heart emoji. Oh my God. Number 2, do you guys want to see, like, a blueprints video? I think I want to make 2 blueprints video, like the blueprint. I want to call it the blueprint. And I essentially want to say, I essentially want this series to be a way for me to kind of structurally talk about how people could go about setting up legitimate kind of brands, and kind of use people as a case study. So I wanted to make a follow-up video on Mary Jane and just say the blueprint, how Mary Jane Byarm could have set up a legitimate travel business or startup instead of scamming people to go to Dubai. That was a great title. I'm going to use that. I think maybe a second video could be about Joe Budden, like the blueprint, how Mal and Rory could, I think I might want to do like a retroactive video or like a future video. Sorry, let me use words. So for the Rory and Mal idea for the blueprint, I was thinking of doing an idea where I talk about what Rory and Mal could do now that they're off of the podcast to solidify their brand. because clearly money and auditing and the money, I'm not saying they're poor or anything like that, but clearly that came up so much so that they were like, bro, we have to really reconsider what's going on here. So I am really curious about whether they're going to sink and swim. And I'm wondering if I can come up with any strategic ideas of how they could create a standalone brand or company or item that they could use to really solidify whatever income they have left and really move their distribution into making some more money. It's either between that or making a video on what they should have done to solidify themselves. I don't really think that'll be helpful, obviously. It's in the past now. They're fired. So, yeah, all right. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for listening to another one of my tapes. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.